nearing the release. Actually, it should be quite soon. And another one is growth of our team, especially SC2 team, but SC1 team is also growing, not in size, but in the quality and how they are professional and how they are independent from me, and just doing their own thing and developing and supporting Space Engineers 1. So those are the main things for me. Mhm. Yeah. So for me, it's two things. One is the physics and the volumetric environment, and that everything is real and interact with each other, and it's physical. Sorry, 1 second. And sorry, I just had some trouble here.
Just a quick test, guys. Can you guys hear us now and see if it should be picking me up now?
Yeah, I'm getting message that we are not. People cannot hear us at all.
Yeah, at the beginning they couldn't, but now I believe they can hear Marek, Ryan, and myself. So just to confirm, guys, in the chat, if you can hear myself, give us a thumbs up, and then Marek and Ryan, we can hear them as well.
Yeah, can you hear me, everybody?
So so people confirming we hear barely Aaron. So I'll turn Aaron up. Let's have a look. So can you confirm you guys can hear Ryan? I'll turn myself up as much as I can. And there we're getting a bit of mix from the chat as well. Yeah, Marek is good. Can we confirm Ryan? Because I can see all your audio lights are spiking up on my end here. And nothing from Ryan at all. Interesting. Okay, that's let's try.
I can hear Ryan and also Aaron.
Yeah, your audio's spiking nicely there as well. So Ryan, just give us another line just in case. Yep, you're coming through. Yeah, you're coming through on the audio meter here, but for some reason you don't want to have any audio. I'll see if I can double check anything else there, because all my bars and sliders are working well. Yeah, guess one, you're sorted. Guess two, you're sorted as well. Yeah, Marek, if you could continue anyway, explaining a little bit about the secret recipe behind Space Engineers 1 while I have a look through this.
And should I repeat or?
Yeah, if you just started again perhaps on what you
Okay.
felt was the secret recipe, or and what might be interesting as well is what you thought the secret recipe is when you first started building Space Engineers to what Space Engineers has become now and what you believe it's more focused around.
Okay. So the first part, for me, there are two components to the secret recipe. The first one is the physics and the volumetricity of the environment and the grids and the planets and asteroids and everything. And that's the dedication that we had from the beginning, that things in space engineering should be, physical, volumetric, real. Nothing should be just some kind of facade or just some kind of like virtual objects that don't really exist. And this then enables players to actually create something emergent on top of it. So by recombining blocks, buildings, various grids, interacting with the planet and the environment, and so on, gives unlimited possibilities. And I think that's the secret recipe. So I'll sum it up. I think it's this volumetric, real physics that we have for planets and grids, and also the freedom that we are giving to players so they can start combining these things. So it gets to new emergent possibilities. And then actually, maybe third one would be that we're always dedicated to add things, mechanics or features that are actually expanding the possibilities of what you can do in the game, and or how you can combine things. So, for example, we're adding things like rotors or pistons and so on and so on, and where each of them is multiplying all the previous ones because suddenly you can start recombining things. So I think this is the secret recipe, or the why it's successful and why people are playing the game over the years. That's my personal opinion. And what was our plan before the game actually was built, or
Yeah.
the first prototype was built? So there are a few things. One was that as a programmer, I was always thinking that when I'm building a game, it should probably build rather on my strength than weaknesses. So, for example, building a game around, let's say, story. When I'm not a story writer, I probably shouldn't do that. I should do something that is about programming. And building a game with volumetric environment and physics and rendering and everything, that felt like that's one of my strengths. So that was one reason. The other was I didn't want to compete with other games or other engines. So I was thinking that I should create something that nobody else has, probably nobody want to have. And because as a programmer, with enjoyment in physics and simulations and rendering, somehow naturally I went to feel that, okay, other games, they don't have destructible environments. You cannot really build anything in those games. So that's probably something I should do. And also I was excited about it because each of us played Lego, and I thought, like, if I build a game where you can build like in Lego and the environment is completely destructible, it will simply be amazing, and it would give people a new kind of experience that they can have in games which they couldn't have before. And I thought that this will be also, from the business perspective, a good thing, that players, they want new experiences, and they will want this kind of game. So that was the reasoning. What back then, what could be the secret recipe, and now after the years, I would say it confirmed. And not saying that I was right in everything and so on, and also like to fit the tastes of many people, and the market is always complicated and many times unpredictable. But I think that even after the years, this is the secret to the success. And maybe what I can say that what I learned over those 12 years is that the updates where we are focusing on giving players some new sorry, Aaron, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So maybe only Ryan is.
Yeah, I'm just. Can we get another check on Ryan quickly? Okay, okay. Because I've got you nice and clear coming through here on OBS, and the audience seem to all be able to hear you as well, perfectly fine, Marek. So, if
Yeah.
you wanted to continue that point on, because it was
I think Ryan is back.
right. Is
Oh no,
right.
he's okay.
Let's.
So I will just continue. So what I learned after those 12 years is that players react most positively when we are adding features that are expanding what they can build and do in the game. So for example, if we add a update that is about just some scenario, that is, let's say, linear and you can do just one thing, that's not the best idea. The best idea is usually to add blocks or features that are actually expanding what they can build or explore or simply what they can experience in the game.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to get Ryan to reconnect because I don't know if he's adjusted his audio settings. Just reconnect if you can. Because the other thing that I was going to ask you that I think a lot of players are quite interested about is when did you realise that Space Engineers was starting to take off, or when it was starting to gain momentum? Did you notice more and more players were starting to play it and play it on YouTube and whatnot, or did you start to have more players coming to you asking about what the next features were? Where did you notice it was going to start to be a success?
I think actually when we first tweeted about the game, when we showed the first teaser, which was this like video I recorded on the phone, so it looked like some kind of leaked video. But another reason actually why we did it was that it looks somehow better, when we recorded it on the phone and not just some script capture from the game. And so that tweet and that video got a lot of views, but mostly it actually got a lot of comments. So like many hundreds, I don't know, maybe thousands of people were commenting that they want this game. This is the game they always were dreaming of about. It's, and like the best thing they want to play. And so from this reaction, which is actually also quite rare, it doesn't happen, that frequently and so on. So that was the moment when we knew that, okay, we probably have something that is valuable for players. And then roughly 2 months after that, we released on early access and people started to buy the game. No, actually, I forgot, a week or two before the early access, we did something like a 24-hour window where people could buy, but only from our eShop. And we saw how many people bought the game in that window and already started to play the game and were posting things on probably just screenshots and videos because I think workshop wasn't yet implemented. And so from that, we knew that so many people want to play it, it will be success. And then it just continued.
Yep. So I remember back in the day when I was playing early access, and you built your first few ships, and you had limited construction, and then the physics based blocks came along, so you could start using rotors and pistons. That there's such a monumental part of the game now. Like, what was the idea behind them at the time, or was it always to get involved with physics?
That's actually a good question. So many of the things that we were adding back then and over the years, we actually didn't plan them much. It was mostly like, this is a good idea, so let's add it. And then it was, in the next update, in the next Thursday, because we were doing weekly updates every week, every Thursday. And the team was small and also very capable, so it was super easy to be adding these things. Also, let's say the requirements for polish and quality control were much lower than they are right now. So, we could do it. So basically, again, like we did the Thursday release. Friday, we spent thinking about like what should we release next week. We gave it a few hours of thinking. Then we implemented it over 2 or 3 days. Then we just tested it, made a video, and then posted it. And this was our life for, let's say, 2 years. And so we didn't, back then, I mean, of course, we had some plan that we want multiplayer, we want survival, and so on. But these blocks, they kind of were just some ideas that just came along. But also, many times, we got inspiration from the community. So we could see, that people are saying, like, when will you add this? When will you add that? And we want this and so on. So that's another thing that we're also prioritizing. And also we're prioritizing some kind of like implementation or let's say the cost to value ratio. So looking on things that we can add quickly, but they will have high replay value for the players, or simply kind of like a novelty value for the players. And pistons and rotors, they were like kind of easy to implement, in the first alpha stage or prototype stage. Some of these blocks, they actually become a big problem and expense, like years later. For example, wheels, was something that we added probably over 1 or 2 weeks, but then actually it cost us probably 1 year of a programmer to finish it, so it works in all situations and in multiplayer, and all edge cases are handled and so on. But back then, we didn't care about edge cases. We just care about releasing one cool thing after another every week. So again, it was always just looking on the blogs, what the community wants, what we want to add to the game, because we simply want to see it in the game and how it will behave, and also on this cost versus impact for players or value for players ratio. And that's how we were prioritizing these small blocks.
Right, I am going to try an additional thing just to try and get Ryan's audio functioning. I'm going to just disable these and enable this audio channel. So, Ryan, could you just give us a quick
Yes.
confirm? And
Hello.
We'll just check with the chat to see if they can hear Ryan now. If you can hear Ryan,
Yeah.
Ryan in the chat, please.
Please. Let's see. We'll see.
Please.
They're telling me to get a piece of paper and start writing notes.
Yeah, that all note signs. It's because everything on my end.
There we go.
This is
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, we've got at least someone confirming some sound. And can we still hear Marek? Marek, give us a word. Let's see if we can hear Marek still with these adjustments.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, everyone confirm yes. Okay, great. Yes.
Good.
Well, I
I'll
know
skip the pad and
I know
paper.
it's
We're
not
good.
perfect, but we've not got the stream legend here himself, so he'll have to give me some pointers when he gets back. Okay, so let's move on. So Ryan, do you want to talk about your introduction to the team and Space Engineers as well, and what it was like coming aboard, and how you got stuck in? What was the first thing you got stuck in, and then we'll jump back in time a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, my first introduction to Space Engineers was from a really good buddy that I've had all since high school. And he noticed I was playing a game, and he said, "Hey, if you like that game, you're gonna love this one." And he sent me Space Engineers. And so from that moment, I was hooked. I was a fan first. I absolutely loved it. I got totally immersed in it. I joined the team in, let's see, I was during Automatons. It was the very beginning of Automatons. And so I was a level designer to start. I was working on trailer assets and things for Joel, so that we could make all of our cool promo materials. And since then, I've kind of just kept moving through. I'm now a designer on the design team, working on all the new updates and the new blocks. But it's been from that moment of me actually like finding the game and being a fan first till now. It's like it was like a life-changing, hey, you might like this game, right? Like it's such a huge part of my life now, and I've loved every moment of it. From the very beginning when I first got it, I was just like, everything I want to make is for someone else, and it's a natural progression to where I am right now. I love creating things and having people play them and enjoy them, and just watching the reactions of our fans is great, especially coming from a fan myself. To that point, it's the greatest thing for me is watching the streams and watching everybody watch the trailers and just enjoy everything. You just get so excited, especially at 12 years, that we can still deliver really incredible things to them. Is just wonderful.
Yeah, and they absolutely love every update, everything that you're putting out at the minute, Ryan. Like they're just like, whoa, what is this? And you can see the reactions in the YouTube videos. But let us know, guys, which of these updates has hit you the hardest in terms of, this is incredible. I mean, has it been an update with a few blocks? Has it been a warfare update? I'd be surprised. It might even be a decorative pack. Some people have really been enjoying. But let's jump back to the timeline anyway. So let's talk a little bit about the introduction of planets in Space Engineers 1, because we're about to introduce planets, aren't we, in VS2, Marek? So it might be interesting to, what do you think we've learned really from introducing planets back in Space Engineers 1? What was the big deal there at the time with sticking planets in?
Mm-hmm. So for me, why I personally wanted planets was something big, grounded, or something that will ground you and will give you the sense of horizon and natural gravity, like some big rock under your feet, not just some asteroid or some grid, but like a big planet. So that's what I wanted, like people feel that they are really on a planet and they can build stations and live on the planet. That was the reason. Then the way to get there was challenging, of course, because we started to implement the planets, and it was about rendering, it was about the physics, and we had to change many things in the engine because the planets were actually larger than the precision of the floating point numbers, and so we had to do many things there.
Okay.
Then some like texture management. Then we had to, actually the artist had to create the height maps and the surfaces, and so it was a lot more work, a little bit more than I expected. Like I had very, let's say, optimistic expectation about how fast it will go, and in the end it actually took much longer. So that was the story with planets, and maybe I will end it with what I wanted is the feeling that you are transitioning from space to the planet seamlessly without any loading screen on any fake, like going through clouds and then fade in, fade out, and then you are on the planet kind of thing. I just really wanted the seamless thing on a planet that is really big and fully destructible. So you can actually drill through the planet, make tunnels and drill and so on. And we succeeded there with Space Engineers 1. I think it was in year 2015 or so. And and what we are doing for SC2 right now, what will be in the next update, is also planets. We will have Verger and Chemic. The visual quality will be improved, obviously, and yeah.
So to be honest, it's incredible seeing just the transition, because when we first got asteroids, the asteroids were these sort of they almost look like a bit like super glue. Someone had super glued them together with the textures, and then the planets kept getting more and more beautiful with each update. Where now, if you log into Space Engineers in 2025 and literally sit yourself on top of a hill and look across the horizon, the planets are beautiful. The blocks, especially the interior blocks, Ryan, the interior blocks have got far more detailed now. You no longer have a bland interior to your ship. You have tons of blocks available to detail every single segment of that ship. What did you think about the introduction of planets, Ryan, yourself? Was that something you witnessed, or was that a little bit? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, it was so I went and looked. I bought the game in May of 2015, and then so I think planets were in November of 2015. So I remember buying it and playing it and getting all excited because Merrick actually posted something that was like, here's an early Earth-like planet, right? And I was just like, no way, planet, they're making planets.
Yeah.
And so I remember sitting at work at the time, a different company obviously, and they were like, today's the day, planets are dropping. And I've never been home faster in my life. Like, I was so excited, and I just got out with a bunch of my buddies and we just played it, and I couldn't, like, that was probably one of the most, like, this game can evolve and change and become all these things that we've always wanted to be moments. Like, that's like a landmark bookmark moment for me, where that, like, this company can push this farther, we can push this farther, and we can deliver things that players are just going to really enjoy. It's absolutely game-changing, totally game-changing.
Oh, we'll have to see. We'll have to get an OG in the chat for the players who are here since 2013, who play. Well, a lot of them did play in the alpha, but some of them experienced them early builds. So the next sort of zone we got into was the multiplayer evolution, where we actually started playing with each other. And the scariest part about this was when it was first introduced, you just had you and a couple of friends playing together. And you were like, oh, how big is this going to get? What was the idea behind the multiplayer, Mary? Was this something that you saw from the start, or did you originally envision it as a single player game, and then at the request of the players, you introduced multiplayer into the game?
No, the multiplayer was always in the plan. And because I think for a game like Space Engineers, it like fits very naturally. Although me personally, like, if it was up to me, I personally don't play multiplayer games. But the reason is that the competitive aspect of them is just too hard for me. And I cannot compete, with this 12-year-old who are much better than me, and then it simply is not fun. And also I don't have time, to coordinate with other people and so on. But I completely understand why other people are playing multiplayer games, and it felt to me that yes, they will definitely want to play Space Engineers and spend the time in space and doing the sandbox building and survival and maybe even role-playing some things, that they will definitely want to do it in a game like Space Engineers. So, like a thing that we will do multiplayer. And the first versions of the multiplayer were, I would say, like a naive implementation of multiplayer, which is, like there was some synchronization of the objects and character and grids and so on. But after when people started to, let's say, like stress tested a little bit more, all the problems, or let's say all these unimplemented ideas and not implemented optimizations in the naive implementation shown up. And then there was a period where players were very unhappy with the quality of the multiplier and so on. And then we started to improve one thing after another. But it took, I think, actually even many years until we got to a state where we could feel that, yes, now the multiplier is actually solid. And that also was thanks to few of our colleagues who joined later. Like, for example, Jan Hloušek, who is the tech director now on VRH and Space Engineers 2. And I think he was absolutely critical for getting the multiplier to where it is now in Space Engineers 1. That without him, it would probably be still, I mean, maybe somebody else would do it, but it would be this painful experience. And so that's the story of how I see the multiplier.
How it gained its multiplayer. And well, that leads us nicely into a little bit of a discussion about the modding world. But I just wanted to touch on hosting servers, because I know, Ryan, you host a survival server, and I wanted to know what your sort of experience has been like hosting and running, a small server for a group of people who are very interested in survival. Like, what's your experience like that with that? Because I know that's affected then implementing some of the survival food and other mechanics, perhaps.
I mean, survival is just like my personal favorite way to play, right? I quite enjoy it, and I think the multiplayer aspect too ties into that. Like, it's always more fun to share things with friends, I think, especially when you're doing something creative and you're building and you have these elements that you can put together. And look what I made a hot rod. Check it out, right? Like, you don't want to put that in a garage and keep it to yourself, right? You got to show it off. So like
Aaron?
for survival and multiplayer.
Hold on, Ryan, a second. Can you not?
Yeah.
Are you all right, Marek? Can you not hear Ryan?
I could hear him, but it was very.
I think I lost him too.
Like broken.
Okay, because he was coming through clearly on my end. Do you want to just repeat yourself, Ryan, a little bit, and see if you're coming through clearly again?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's all good. You want me to keep going?
Yeah. Tell us about your hot rods and your building.
Yeah.
We're going to
So
segue
I
nicely
think
into modding shortly.
It's always so good to watch other people play, though, too, especially from the standpoint of a designer now in my current position. Being able to watch people engage with different mechanics and see what their pain points are, see where things are going right or wrong, right, and then how we can shift things. And I think a lot of my thought process for Apex Survival even came from watching various people play survival and multiplayer and enjoying themselves on servers together, and how those elements could kind of work together, and just kind of how that whole dynamic is just different when you have more people and when you've got a server like that.
So it's the fascinating thing about this is because we add a layer of survival, and some players found that level of survival a little bit difficult. But at some point, Marek, the team must have come to you and said, right, we want an option here to make survival a little bit harder. What was your initial reaction to that? Were you like, oh, it's fine as it is, or it's like, right, you've done really well so far, but proceed, sort of thing? What was your reaction to that side of expanding on survival?
Well, for me, it was interesting experiment, or I saw it as an interesting experiment that we should do. This is how I actually see many things, that I, like in some sense, I don't even care if it will be successful or not. I'm just like interested in seeing like how the experiment would work out. And, but of course, I also need to be practical, and we cannot, spend months working on something that players won't appreciate. So I was only, let's say, worried or considering one thing was that if the players actually want, like more hardcore survival, if that's what they are looking for, which you never know. But, that's the interesting part about running experiments is that, you run it and then you get your answers.
And because that's the best thing about this as well, is we're always listening to our players, and throughout the development process, from right at the beginning in Space Engineers, even back in 2013, we were listening to the players and they were evolving. And I found it quite strange because I was on the other end of the spectrum. I was someone shouting at ideas at the players, and this led us really nicely into modding. and getting players building their grids and uploading them to the workshop. Was this always part of the plan of getting players showing off their designs and uploading them and sharing with each other? And how do you think that's evolved? Because the workshop now has got over, I think, 500,000, more, maybe even more than that, creations, and there's multiple going up each day. So tell me a little bit about, you know, how the workshop happened, you know, how you wanted to give players the ability to give feedback and create grids, guys.
Yeah, that was always part of the vision. I think it was one of those obvious things is that when you're creating a game where players can create, you probably should make it easy for them, you know, to share what they created, and not just screenshots, but also the actual blueprints or grids or worlds, and then eventually even the modding, you know, the more technical things like new textures or animations or even new scripts and so on. So this was always there. And the reasoning behind it was there are multiple ones. One was actually inspiration from Arma games, where you know they were always very modding friendly or looking in the direction. But also, let's say, ID Software with Quake and Doom, there were always, you know, there are always things how people can mod and change the game. And why it's interesting for me is that it also opens the door for experimentation. That you know we have only like some amount of people in our team and we can do only some things, and we also need to deliver things in different level of quality than what the community and the modders, you know, that we need to polish it to some end, but the modders, you know, they can take shortcuts, that they don't need to do everything that we will do because players have different expectations, and it's also about that experimentation. So the reason was that if we don't want to limit the scope of what players can experience in Space Engineers, we should open it so that more people can start modding it, and which then actually contributes to the overall value of the ecosystem of Space Engineers. Because, you know, like, it's not just, the value is not just Space Engineers, the base game, but it's the plus all the mods that people created, and also plus all the players, all the content creators and YouTubers and so on.
Well, I was going to say something that you told me in the past was, you know, we can't explore every single direction. And with the players, you know, able to mod things in, they can explore, they can try shields out on ships, see if shields will work for them, and without making it a core part of the experience, they can expand, you know, with weapons core and some of these massive sort of mod packs that do a whole overhaul. You can fight at sea, you can fight in the air with aerodynamics, because I mean, imagine if the team dedicated all that time to try and implement aerodynamics, then other features wouldn't exist. So it's always a battle of picking and choosing, I'm guessing, Marek, of which, you know, which features are a priority and which aren't, and which take us in the direction that the game is heading. So if we continue on a little bit further here, we are almost up to date where we've got this present sort of survival update with the food, with the water, and how are we going to continue on from that? That is the sort of question from Ryan. I'm not going to say any leaks for the future, but can you give us a little bit of feedback on, you know, how you feel players have been responding to that update?
I mean, I've been watching, our whole team has been watching streams and watching everybody interact and seeing how they're going. And we're really paying a close eye on it to see like how everybody, like we made it kind of a la carte survival.
Yes,
oh,
yes,
hello.
Marek?
We're good.
So sorry, that was a question for me or for?
Oh no,
for
no. I wanted to start it off with Ryan, if that's okay, and then
sure,
then I'd
sure.
like to get some of your feedback on the survival as well.
Yeah, but I just lost him. So,
so we really wanted to try to do like some kind of like a la carte survival. Like we know there's hardcore players, we know there's players who just want to chill, we know that there's every range in between, right? And so giving them the option to be able to turn these things on, to crank them, to like bake themselves with solar radiation, like we were all about giving them all those options and ensure that like they could play how they wanted. And also that a really core part of it too was that mod piece where we wanted to make sure it was very moddable and expandable and they could do whatever they wanted. And I'm thrilled with how that's gone and how we've seen everybody kind of move in their own directions with that, because to me that's really what the core of Space Engineers is. And I don't know that we would be talking even right now or having this stream if it weren't for the community being able to grab stuff and go and play how they wanted and enjoy how they wanted and really just embrace the game.
Exactly. Because with this massive update, with all these food and survival, a lot of people have brushed over the encounters as well, and the massive encounter overhaul that's been with this latest update. And I'm really hoping that players are exploring out there. Let us know in the chat, guys, if you've managed to explore some of these counters and if you've had some fun with them, because they are really detailed. They're just a great thing to do with a group of friends, or even by yourself. You can explore an encounter. And this probably leads me on to the question over to Marek is, like, what is your envision of these encounters? What do you want players doing in Space Engineers 1, but also for the future of Space Engineers 2, of like what sort of things would you like players to indulge in your universe?
Yeah. So the universe to feel more alive and full of things, that's the next step for me. And encounters are part of that, so that there is always something happening, something to explore or exploit or fight for, and so on. And both for SE1 and SE2.
Lovely. Indeed. So this is bringing us towards our end segment here, where the stream for me is just closed down. Give me 1 second to get all my files back up. So there we go. So we're talking now a little bit about the future of Space Engineers, and I wanted to talk a bit about Space Engineers 2 as well, Marek, of what we're expecting with this VS2 vertical slice with planets and survival. What should the players expect with this, looking forward to the future?
So vertical slice 2 for Space Engineers 2, which will be releasing quite soon, is about two things: planets and survival foundations. So planets, that's obvious. We will have 2 new planets that are part of part of Almage's system. The planets are Verdure and Chemic. There will be actually even a 3rd planet, Byblos, but we are keeping that one for the water update, for later, because there is no reason to release Byblos, if it doesn't have water. And the other part is survival foundation. So we are adding many systems that are laying the groundwork for the survival. So one is the colonization progress. So this is for the first time in Space Engineering that we are adding some kind of meta loop for the gameplay, so that you are actually progressing somewhere, and it's it has some meaning. So not just you setting up your own goals, but you are colonizing the Almage solar system one sector at a time and one contract at a time. So this is one thing. Another is what we called first-time user experience or onboarding. So first 1 or 2 hours of the game, there are some objectives where you are completing one thing after another and learning about the lore and about the game. And then you start doing the contracts and the colonization. Another things that we are adding is backpack building and projection building. Backpack building is a new idea which is about building or crafting or welding directly from the ore without having to go to the building components and so on. Of course, it doesn't work for all the blocks. It should work only for more basic blocks. Mm-hmm. And for later stages, you need components and some raffineries and assemblers and so on. But for the simpler blocks, you can go directly from mining ore and welding. The other thing is projection building, which is a new thing, which is that you can place a projection of some blueprint or some grid in front of you. You see it, and then you can start weld block by block. And you can actually even be adding new grids or like snapping new grids to that projection. You can use undo, redo, you can use symmetry mode, and so on. So I think that's quite cool, because what you can also do is you can copy paste grids. So let's say you see some ship, you like look at it, you press Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, and this, I'm talking about survival, not even about creative, but about survival. So you can see some ship, you just copy paste the ship, you get the projection of the ship, and then if you have resources, you can weld it yourself. So I think that's pretty cool. And of course, in all these is the 25 centimeter unified grid system, which is new in Space Engineers. So those are the main things, in my opinion, and this will lay the groundwork for survival, and of course we'll be expanding it more. What I actually forgot is that there will be the contracts. So you have, let's say, you have to go somewhere and repair some station, which then unlocks your progress and so on. And there are also encounters. So like, like some abandoned stations that you find here and there, and you can explore them or exploit them. So that's that. Yeah.
Because one of the big differences between Space Engineers 1 and Space Engineers 2, just like you said there, is giving players a bit more purpose. Of course, they can go off and do, you know, the sandbox experience that they want, and they can build and construct everything. But a lot of players, and they'll probably tell you in chat as well, is sometimes if they're not doing the encounters, not doing something else, they have nothing to build for. And this colonization progression will give players a reason to build that ship, to battle into that sector, you know, or complete that contract or that transport. Do you reckon there's anything on the horizon for Space Engineers 2? We could sneak peek or give them a little bit more of a hint about, maybe a little bit of something about Byblos, the water planet. Could we say anything more about that?
Yeah, I can. So Byblos is a planet that is mostly just water. There are some small islands here and there, but mostly it should be just water when you look on it from the space, with some caves inside or underwater caves inside. And that's Byblos. There should be also some secrets and some surprising places on Byblos.
Because when I heard the team discussing it, one thing that really excited me was their discussion about having to think about how to make terrain detailed underwater. So, like, it's not going to be visible from above, but underneath, as you're exploring it, perhaps you're in a submarine or you're doing something like that under the water. It's got to be just as detailed below the surface as it is above. But I just found that aspect of it absolutely fascinating, and hopefully that's a little bit of a sneak peek of what is ahead for you guys at the moment. But the moment is all about refining them planets, polishing them, making them look absolutely beautiful. And as you've seen from some of our social media posts, we've got forests. There is masses of trees that you can walk through. There's valleys to explore. Would there be one point that you've seen, both Ryan and Marek, of the new planets in Space Engineers 2 that you think is just beautiful? Perhaps Marek first.
Yes, many times. But I must be also open for me. So the thing is that, of course, we can make very beautiful looking screenshots or videos on the new Voyager planet. You know, when the sun position is right and everything. What is my aspiration is actually make sure that it looks beautiful all the time, even when the sun position, you know, is like not the best one. Or let's say you are deep in a cave and there is only your headlight and nothing else. I would like it to look beautiful even in those situations where it's much harder, you know, because there can be just simply boring situations and it would look boring or dull even in the real world. But I think in an entertainment or in a game, things should look beautiful all the time. And so that's my aspiration. Maybe not for now, for VS2, but for later, to make sure that the game looks, or the planet looks beautiful, no matter what the time of the day is, where the sun position is, what's the camera angle, you know, what's the view distance, if you are underground or outdoor, to make it beautiful.
And what about yourself, Ryan? What have you seen from the planets? I mean, obviously, I know you're not working on that directly, but what have you seen and gone, oh, I cannot wait to have a look at that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I talk to the SE2 team every week. We look at all kinds of different aspects, and I'm just as excited as they are. I think we share each other's momentum and excitement on everything. But with planet specific, like I absolutely adore the planet system, and I think that the systems, the underlying systems, the like height map based blending of seams between two different voxel types, right? The tessellation on the voxels, the system for the trees and the tree LODs, like they're just so much more, the entire, like you can take any little swatch of a planet and it is so much more detailed and so much more intricate than we can actually achieve in SE1. And just having that technology be that much further, to be able to push those visuals that direction, to have those really realistic looking scenes where you can find a nice little spot and just start building a cool base in this little area where you're like completely surrounded by forests, and you have like these two different biomes butting up to each other, and they look like they transition correctly and realistically. It's just awesome.
Yeah, so we've had a bit of a look at the past. We've had a look over the 12 years of development. And we've also had a look to the future of Space Engineers 2. So I think it's time to move on to some questions from the players. And of course, you can direct them about Space Engineers 1, Space Engineers 2, and we can see what we can answer. And I've also got some pre-questions here as well, just to get us going from the community that they've asked before. But before we do any of that, I want to ask the community a very serious question, and is how many hours do they have in Space Engineers? I saw some people talking about it before. I saw 7,000 hours in the chat. I saw someone with 12. There's going to be some players with some serious hourage out there. I think it'll be much more than mine. I think it's around 4,000 hours I'm on. I don't know about you, Ryan or Marek. I don't know how many hours you guys have got into it.
I just blame mine on the fact that I work here, and I'm not even going to go into
Okay,
that.
we'll keep it secret.
I think I have no, it's fine. I think I have the highest in the company, or one of the highest in the company. When I first joined, everyone was like, "Are you crazy?" Like, and I'm like, "No, I'm in love. That's what it is."
It's a passion. It's passion. I'm seeing it at 9,600 hours in the chat on the side. It'd be interesting to see how many hours Marek's got, because I'm sure at one point there was loads and loads of in-game, and then there was more of like a supervision sort of time, so the hours wouldn't have been. But then if you would think of all your hours in total, Marek, on the projects that you've been working on, you'd probably have more than everyone in all the Space Engineers.
Actually, not that much. In Steam, I have only 675, but you also must think about it that I'm not always playing the Steam build.
Yes.
That I'm playing some development build. The same for Space Engineers too. And actually, I don't know if it counts or not. Maybe actually it counts. But on Space Engineers 2, I have only 100, which is too small in my opinion. So, and then of course sometimes I when we are playtesting, I'm playtesting it from completely different computer, not my account, and so that doesn't count as well. So.
Well, we've got some impressive numbers from the community in the chat there at the moment. But yeah, we are starting our Q&A segment, guys. So if you've got some questions for Marek or Ryan, feel free to send them in and ask your questions about Space Engineers 1 and 2, and we'll try and answer a few of them for you before we wrap things up. But we have got some general questions from the community. Have you guys got a favorite mod or a community curation? Have you got something that the community's built that maybe if it was a while ago, just give us a brief description. Have you got anything, Ryan, anything, Marek, that stood out to you over the years? I'm sure tons of bits have, definitely for me. I think one of the recent ones for me was the giant spider mech that we had a look at in one of the live streams, but go ahead.
I like I said earlier, for me, the joy of the game is making things for other people, right? And I think the greatest mod for that has ever existed is the MES mod, and people taking that framework and making really cool encounters and all these things even years ago, before we had a framework that really could do a lot of it, and they were pushing the envelope. MES was just such an awesome, it's maybe too much for me half the time, like there's a trillion options, but it was really a great cornerstone of the modding community, and it opened up the door for all these other things to exist, which I just think is so cool.
Anything from yourself, Marek, that stood out?
Yeah, so I cannot think about one specific thing, but many times it's the mods where, there is some programmable aspect to it. And one of those examples was, I will not remember, like the video or what the mod was about, but someone created a factory, automated factory, where he was building a rocket and like a ballistic missile or something like that, like one at a time. And it was just going through this factory, and at each stage, something was being added. And then at the end, I think the missile has launched, was flying and attacked somebody, and there was some explosion. So the whole thing, because there were some programmable blocks, probably like very good synchronization of all those events, and the whole thing. And so this almost like things that feel like programs in Space Engineers. That's what I enjoy, where it's not just about physical interaction, but about programming things. That's what I enjoy. On the other hand, when I'm playtesting the game or doing something, I usually go just the simple brute force physical things, that I don't have time to go so deep into these things and then, solve all the problems that can happen. I need something, like a monkey, just solving things through brute force. So me personally, I'm usually just doing these simple things, but what I enjoy watching is when it feels like somebody has programmed a new universe.
No, it's fantastic what they come up with. One of the questions that we've also got now is mechanical blocks for Space Engineers 2. Is there anything you can hint at or talk about? So we're talking rotors, hinges, pistons. Is there anything you want to talk about them today, Marek? Because the players are asking if they're going to be coming to Space Engineers 2.
Yes, and actually quite soon. Some of those we plan for what we call vertical slice 2.2, which will be the next big vertical slice after VS2. Probably, few months after the vertical slice 2. So there will be few of those. Rotors. I cannot remember if there is also pistons, but I think rotors. And then also we will do some experiment with wheels, so we can have rovers. But I must also say that the main goal is to just prototype it. So I'm not sure if we will release wheels and rovers in VS 2.2, but at least we will have some internal prototypes to test this new approach that we will have to wheels and rotors.
Okay. Now another question that's popped up is about VR support. And I know that we're not looking to support it at the moment, but I didn't know if you wanted to say some of the experimentations that some people have been doing with it.
Yeah, so officially we cannot do it now because we have simply, too many or different priorities and focus. So unfortunately, we cannot spend any time on this. But unofficially, one of our colleagues, Logan, he has created some kind of VR support for Space Engineers 2. And
it was
maybe
incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I would
Yeah.
love to share the footage with you guys, but I didn't want to get your hopes up that we were having a VR because we're not officially going to have it. It was just a side project. So I didn't want to release the VR footage. You get really excited and then it not happen. But the work that Logan's done is incredible. It's so cool seeing it through a VR headset and maneuvering around in that world there as well.
Yeah. So at least some people who want, some VR, they will be able to get this mod from Logan. I think it will be available to players at some point quite soon, and I think he's actually planning to put it on GitHub so other people can be expanding his mod eventually and make it more complete. And of course, it will be limited because officially we are not supporting VR yet, so we cannot even help him to improve some things which would need to be changed or would need more work in the VR engine. So unfortunately, we cannot do it now. So the mod will have some limitations. But for people who just want that experience and want to try it, I think it will be a good experience anyway.
Okay, and another question that some people are asking, this is both for Space Engineers 1 and Space Engineers 2. Are we going to be seeing additional weapons, or in case of Space Engineers 2, are weapons anywhere on the horizon close? Are they going to be getting their hands on them anytime soon?
So for SC2, yes, that's one of the things we want to do after VS2. And actually combat in Space Engineers 2 is something very important for us. So I sometimes even think about the game as engineering is one part of it, where players can build things, but I would like them to have more use for combat and different forms of gameplay than just engineering. So basically, almost like using engineering for the combat, but making the combat much more seamless and easy and let's say less punishing and more fun. That's one of the goals for SC2. So yes, hand weapons and also block weapons, they should be coming quite soon to SC2.
Lovely, you guys have heard it here. Hand weapons, very nice indeed. Now, another question that keeps popping up is people would love to know what your sort of definition of NPCs is, Marek, because NPCs to a lot of different people means a lot of different things. Like, is it going to be a bloke that follows you around and holds your hand while you're building and stuff, or like what would you consider an NPC? Because it's on we've got it on our sort of timeline for VS2. Sorry, not VS2, but our general timeline. What does NPC mean to you? What would you consider an NPC?
Mm-hmm. So, first off, it's human NPCs, so not just spiders or wolves, but human NPCs. and some can be, I would say the simplest form would be like a background NPCs, that you can meet on station and so on. That's, let's say, the baseline. But then where I think it gets interesting is NPCs that you can actually fight against. And if you will have NPC that can be your companion or your friend following you around, that's not something, that we are planning right now. I'm mainly focused on NPCs that inhabit some area, and they can be friendly or they can be neutral or they can be enemy. And if they are enemy, you will start fighting, and you will have some fight. That's the, let's say, my definition of NPCs for SC2.
Okay, now I've got a bit of a funny question here for Ryan. Since of course you're playing the game so much and you're working on it, do you ever have any dreams of space engineers?
Actual
Do you
dreams?
dream of space
I got a
engineers?
notebook full of dreams.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think I've ever had I have had moments where, like, especially when I was doing level design and doing work for trailers, where I would wake up and go, that's the shape. I need to make that shape real. Like, I'd have stuff like that, but never like real full dreams.
Okay. And some players are asking, of course, is there going to be a 12th year anniversary pack? And sadly, there isn't this year. An additional question that was asked: is there going to be cake this year? And I don't think anyone's coming to bring you a cake, Marek. So I don't think there's a cake for you this year. Here's an interesting one. Some of the players are asking about pets, and someone's asked, could we tame wolves as a companion? Let's treat this as a bit of an idea. What do you guys think of this idea, Marek, of taming the wolves?
Well, sounds like a fun idea.
There you go. What about you, Ryan? What do you think about it? Do you think?
I think. I mean, if we're just talking dreams here,
yeah,
we're
talking dreams. We're talking dreams. That's it.
I think there's the greatest thing that we could do at the very end. If I was going to be like, my love of space engineers, or what I really want to see is just a lot more life, right? And we look at like planets and NPCs and all these things, like those would be so cool. I would never be against some concept like that. I think there's a lot of fun that could come out of that, and making the universe feel more alive and dynamic would be excellent.
Okay. Because something else that has been discussed in the chat area as well, will food be something that's expanded on? Will there be more drinks and more food available in the future, or is this like an installment of food considered done for the minute?
I mean, we definitely left ourselves open and good frameworks to improve it and increase it. There's no reason that wouldn't be seen in the future.
Okay, very nice. And that is the majority of the questions that we have got through for the moment. I know, Marek, you wanted to make a very, very juicy announcement for Space Engineers 1 here. A particular, I'm going to leave you to introduce it in your mystical and wonderful way. I know the players have missed the memes you used to do, where do you remember that meme when you were on the ladder? You took a picture of yourself on that ladder years ago and then posted it. Players love them. We need to bring them back. But yes, let them know this juicy date for Space Engineers 1.
Yep. So when we released Apex a few months ago, we also promised there will be another update, and that update is coming. It will be basically exactly 1 month from now. So November 24, we'll be releasing update 2.08. The official name, it actually doesn't have official name yet, but it will be an update that is improving many things and also adding many new blocks and interesting things to the game. So you should really, I think, look forward to it 1 month from now, November 24.
There you go, November 24. There's going to be a very, very exciting update. Ryan, is there anything you can just hint on, like Marek said there, with this update? He said there's some interesting things. Is there any little interesting sneak peeks that you could give us? Just one little one, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, we've already said publicly that it is a bug fix update, and like we had a goal on how we wanted to proceed with that and how many bugs we wanted to fix, and we had an ambitious goal, especially with our time frame, knowing when we wanted to release on the 24th, and we hit that goal a couple weeks ago. So we're smashing through it. We're absolutely cleaning stuff up and getting some really highly requested, really good things fixed, which I'm very excited about. And that hopefully we can keep that momentum going and button it up real nice for you guys. But on top of that, like, obviously can't say much, but every single time we release something, I think for the last at least 4 or 5 updates, we keep going, how are we going to top the blocks that we're providing to players? How are we going to give them things that they're going to be excited about? And I think just like the last couple ones where we have, I think it met that expectation and delivered something good. I think the quality and types of blocks that you're going to see are going to blow you away. This is a really, really big one. This is great.
Well, I definitely know they love to have some bugs fixed, and then a little bit of spice on top of that with a few new blocks and whatnot. But yeah, it sounds incredible, and I think at that point there, we're going to probably bring this one to a close. I know there is one more question that the community are dying to ask, and I'm going to ask it to you guys here, but this might set off a whole discussion. And this is about Clang. And Clang, with certain devices that players create, have you ever heard of like a Clang drive, Marek, for instance? Have you heard of the word of a Clang drive?
I think yes.
So basically, the idea is they use the Clang within the physics to propel themselves, and players have wanted for a very long time an infinite answer to the question: is this engineering utilizing the power of Clang, or is it an exploit? And from the head himself, what would you consider? Would you consider harnessing the power of Clang engineering, or would it be an exploit?
Okay, I think it's engineering. The question is how, if it's not something that will get patched in the next update. So the question is like how long that exploit / engineering of Clang will work. But in my opinion, anything that works in the way is the physics of the game. That's the reality of the game. So it's just like in our real world, asking a question like, I don't know, let's say using the sun energy, are we exploiting the sun or are we engineering, the sun energy and so on. So no, it doesn't matter. It's here, we can use it, so we should use as much as we can. And the same way I see the physics and the physics rules inside Space Engineers is that, if it works, then it's simply part of the physics.
Yeah, and I think like on top of it, if you're getting off work and you want to play a game and you're enjoying it and it makes you smile and have fun, then that's what it's for, right?
So this is a fascinating one because I know the players are completely torn on either side of that. So I guess you've had your answer there today, and who knows, this might be clipped for the future of people, of people proving that this is in fact engineering. But it just like Marek said, if we end up patching it, then it probably, nice job while you engineered it, but now it's luckily fixed. But Clang will always be a mysterious creature. Anyway, guys, we'd like to thank you guys for watching. Has anyone got any final points that you'd like to make, Marek or Ryan? Anything that you'd like to add additionally? Or I'll move on to our social media and other information.
Yeah, I will just add that thanks, Ryan and Aaron, for being on this 12-year anniversary stream tonight. And also thanks to the players who joined us today. And thanks to everyone else who contributed to Space Engineers over those 12 years. And I'm looking forward to the next 12 years of Space Engineers 1 and Space Engineers 2.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Have you got anything to add to that, Ryan?
I just want to say thank you to our players. Like the support that we get, the love that we get, it's amazing. I'm so grateful that we get to work on this product and that you guys all enjoy it. And it's something that can live 12 years. It's very, very rare that a game would persist like this and be as loved as it is. So thank you so much deeply from our entire team. We're so grateful for you guys.
And the same for myself here. Like, this is truly a game not just built by us here at Keen Software House, but the community as well. And everything you guys build, from the mods that you create to the communities that you build, and the different sorts of people that you meet on the journeys, and the friends that you also accompany you on that. It's fantastic. It's so nice to have a place like this where communities can build and engineer and create. If you are interested in getting the latest updates, of course, though, we've got the newsletter for you there as well. We're always dropping exciting dev diaries. Marek is always giving some amazing insights on what's happening behind the scenes at Keen Software House, so make sure you subscribe to them as well. And that is all for us for this evening, so thank you very, very much.